This account is currently pumping $1,500 a day. So 11K over the last 7 days, passively leveraging Facebook's AI bidding. And by passive, I don't necessarily mean passive income sitting on the beach type of passive. What I mean by it is more so not micromanaging day to day and having to spend all day glued to the screen, concerned over performance, minute by minute, dollar by dollar. There's still other stuff happening in the business. There's orders being fulfilled, customers being supported through the help desk. What's more so happening is that in the account and the media buying, it's just not a full-time job. So there's 5 types of bidding. And the first 2, I would consider a little bit more active and hands-on required in the way that we do it, at least. And then the last 3 are a little bit more passive and is what is happening in the account that I shared above. So we'll go through the nuances of every type so that you can make decisions on what you want to use and also adapt based on where Facebook is going, because they are making changes to what types of campaigns will be available in the future. And having a foundational understanding of the current different bidding types will allow you to make decisions even if the platform is changing. So the first type over here is called highest volume. And there's one action for you to do. You don't need to set a bid. It's automated bidding. And the only action you need to take is setting a budget. And what it optimizes for is the highest volume of conversions. So volume in this case is the highest number of conversions. And so the name matches the function of what it does. And all of it is automated. And so these first 2 in blue are known as auto bidding. On the other side of it, you have highest value, which is also done through auto bidding, where you actually don't give Facebook a bid target or a cost cap target or a ROAS goal target. Instead, you just set one action, or rather you have one action, and that action is setting the budget. And what it optimizes for is the highest value of conversions. On the other side, let's hop over to the green side. We have 3 different types of bidding. There's cost per result goal, there's bid cap, and then there's ROAS goal. So we'll start at the top with cost per result goal. And so you have 2 actions when it comes to non-auto bid and what we call risk reduced bidding. So there is setting your budget, just like auto bidding. And then there's setting your cost per result goal. And your cost per result goal is an average target that you want Facebook to hit per conversion over the time that you're optimizing it for. And what it ends up optimizing for is the highest volume of conversions while hitting your average cost per result goal target. So as an example, just heading back to this auction house, right? If this person over here is who I sent to go to the auction for me and win art, if I give this person a cost per result goal and say, hey, if you can average the cost of winning auctions for $100, that's totally fine. Do whatever you want flexibly as long as you hit that average cost. So for example, there might be a piece of art where this person chooses to bid $100, let's say, or rather $120. And then that yields me, let's say, $500 worth of art that I can then resell and be happy with, right? So they're bidding higher than the average that I'm giving them of 100. So they're bidding 120, but because it's getting me something that's worth it to me, I'm fine with it, right? I'm giving them looser constraints. And on the other side of it, they can also bid much lower than the 100 average. So when it comes to cost per result goal, there's more flexibility in where they can go. They can actually go above the average when necessary and also below as well. And I'm mentioning that because the next one, which is called bid cap, is similar, but in a nuanced way different. So with the bid cap, you are setting your budget. That's one of the actions. And the second action is you set a bid and a bid ceiling. So what it optimizes for is the highest volume of conversions, very similar to your cost per result goal, but it's doing so limiting auction entries based on your ceiling bid. So if we hop back over to the example over here, the nuance and the difference is that if I'm telling this person to auction on my behalf, and instead of giving them a cost per result goal target of 100, I say, hey, you have a ceiling bid of 100. That means if there's a piece of art that, let's say, I could have resold for $1,000 and paid 120 for it, this person would not have actually bidded on it, even though the outcome would have been in my favor. They're not going to do it because I tell them, hey, I don't want you to go past 100. Never bid over 100. So that's the nuance. And that's what could potentially happen when it comes to the upside that gets missed, is that you actually don't enter auctions that could yield you higher AOV purchases that could be profitable. However, it's more conservative if you go with a bid cap. And then the last one is ROAS goal. And so your actions with this one is you set a budget, just like the rest of them, but then you also set a ROAS goal of whatever number that you want in order to hit, or rather for Facebook to hit for you in the optimization window that you choose. So in this case, it optimizes for the highest value of conversions while hitting your ROAS target. So if we hop back over to the auction house example, it's kind of like giving the person on your behalf the constraint of, hey, if you can bid at a 2-to-1 for me, go for it. So if there's a piece of art that this person knows can sell for $1,000, and I'm telling them, as long as I can make $2 for every dollar that I spend, go for it, they might actually bid up to $500 for that, right? Because of that 2-to-1 ratio. Similarly, on the other side of it, if it's only necessary to bid, let's say $30 for a $60 piece of art, then they'll also go for it. The bidding is less so upon a cost constraint, but rather a return constraint. So what we're trying to go for is whatever that number is. In this case, in this example, it's a 2-to-1. And so zooming back as a recap, we have 2 of them that are auto bidding, and then 2 of them that are manual entries or risk reduced. And one of the differences, the major differences, is that with auto bidding, what happens is Facebook will spend your budget regardless of efficiency targets because you don't enter one. Whereas on this side, what happens is spend gets throttled up or down based on volume at your efficiency, because you're giving Facebook a target to go for, whether that's a cost target or whether that's a return target. And so in this case, with these 3 in green, you actually aren't going to get spend through in the same way that you do over here, because over here with these 2, spend happens regardless of efficiency. Not to say efficiency can't happen, but rather you're not giving the targets to Facebook. Whereas in this case, spend can be throttled based on its forecast of whether it can hit your efficiency targets. So typically, in this case, it's more passive if what you care about is efficiency more than getting volume through. Because you can work on your unit economics, get very clear on them, count for signal loss, look at previous historical performance, and then set the numbers. And generally, you can let Facebook do its thing. And then your attention can go to other parts of the business, such as your landing pages and your ad creative and product. When you control for efficiency with these 3 types, what you can do is have a little bit more ease and confidence that your efficiency targets may be hit. And that's a trade-off because your volume targets may not be hit. And so you manipulate volume based on other factors like creative, landing page, and so forth, assuming you've set your budgets high enough to allow for volume to come through if efficiency is hit. So going back to the auction example, The two in blue that are auto bid is like telling someone to go to an auction for you and not giving them clear prescriptions on either how much you're willing to spend on average, or giving them a ceiling bid that you don't want them to go beyond, or telling them the return that you have to make. They don't get that information if you're doing auto bidding. Whereas over here, you do give that information to them. And in this case, them is Facebook. So where I say this becomes more passive, or where I've seen this become more passive, is if doing auto bidding has been stressful and what you care more about is hitting your efficiency targets, then introducing into your account some amount of cost control bidding can be helpful in making things a little bit more hands-off, because the variability in efficiency becomes solved for. And it's not perfect, and it's not one and done. Targets do need to be adjusted over time. But relative to the alternative, if auto bidding has been a challenge when it comes to hitting your efficiency targets, this can be an option for you. So if we go back to the account, we can see that a 2.01 has been hit the last 7 days. And the top spending campaign is on a cost per result goal. And we have a mix of what's going on. We have cost per result goal, we have bid cap, we have ROAS goal, and these in between are also cost cap or cost per result goal. So the idea isn't that one is better than the other necessarily, because plenty of people have success with these two. However, you have optionality when you start to understand the other options that you have and the other tools that you have available to you to experiment with and try. For us, the way that we run things, we are primarily using these three, and we don't really use these two very much anymore, just because of the way that we like to operate. So no matter which of these you're choosing, you're leveraging AI, and it's up to you to be intentional about the nuances on how active and passive you want to be.